do it gently instead of abruptly like you're doing.
Okay, here we go. And what's up, guys, and welcome back to another night of the Night Talk on my scheduled day. Wow, this is weird.
Indeed.
Back on our scheduled day, back where we need to be, back where I kind of want to be. Yes, evening one and all. And also, good evening, TLO. What is up?
Besides the sky and lunar eclipses, same shit, a different day.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I will attest to that for you. So, guys, normally what I wanted to talk about here on the show, we're briefly touching into that fucking subject because that subject is just like, no, fuck you. Because that is just, I don't have fucking time for it. Nobody has fucking time for it anymore, to be honest.
Did we lose Dwayne?
No, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Are you still there, Dwayne? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that was, I don't know. I believe there is probably also reporting we've actually been damn near, pardon my French, gobsmacked by a lot of CMEs. And that's also a thing that has yet to be very much touched upon in the media. It's been pretty consistent. And so there will be disruptions in services, in internet, phone communications, of course, and, some basic electronics.
Yeah, I'm experiencing it with my cell phone right now.
Correct. That'll be what the dominant issue with most people would be.
Because I'm trying to even get my cell phone to work so I can watch the chat, look at the chat and everything, and I can't even.
Well, I can see at least the StreamYard chat, so there's that.
Yeah, you can see the StreamYard chat. I just can't see my Facebook chat, which it seems where everybody's fucking at right now.
Well, of course, everyone, I don't know. It's starting to kind of scare me because, Wi-Fi era. And so, like,
fucking at right.
This shit is starting to get a little too hive mind, board type shit, where like everyone seems to like follow along in this weird hive mind sort of mentality, and I don't know, it's weird.
And you know what, you're not wrong. It is weird, and and TLO, you make it to one of the, a good point to one of the things I wanted to touch on.
Go ahead, sir.
Is the fact of social media.
Correct.
And especially around the holidays.
Well, the holidays, may I interject? The holidays are always a very, very troublesome time. Let's just be honest. There's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of feelings. Obviously, interpersonal, usually dealing with relationships, obviously family, whatnot, and coworkers as well. Just because the holidays, you have a lot of scheduling conflicts because everyone's trying to have it off. And with the dominant issue of quote unquote the Great Resignation,
right? Exactly.
I will attest personally that staffing has been absolute shite.
Yeah. TLO, you're working almost every day besides the weekends, aren't you?
Well, I will report to one and all, for those who are sticking with us this Saturday. I know there's a lot of things actually going on in the background, but um, I have recently acquired a shit time of time off. Well, it's not necessarily acquired. It's actually part of the deal. It's part of me working at this large institution, and so part of that you get 2 weeks of vacation. And so, as I've yet to use approximately 10 or 11 days worth of vacation, I now have the schedule of pretty much every Monday and Friday off for the foreseeable future.
Nice. So I know if I actually want to call and talk to you, I can get a hold of you on Mondays and Fridays. That's actually good to know.
But you kind of cut out there a little bit.
Can you hear me?
We can now.
Okay. Yeah, guys, there's going to be computer issues. Let me close some things down that are open up in my computer that might be causing issues. Google Voice is open. Let me shut this down. Facebook's open. Let me shut this broadcast off. Okay. There we go. Good evening, Lee. How are you?
Good evening, Lee.
And that's the thing I want to talk about too, TLO, is that people in technology, man, back when I was a kid, dude, we didn't have this shit.
Correct.
We didn't have we didn't have technology like this. It was playing outside and God, if you drink out of a garden hose as a kid, you had one hell of a fucking interesting day.
Well, no, things were definitely simpler. I believe definitely my older generation, but it continued on with your generation as well. As you said, we had a lot of outside time because we weren't sat in front of computers all day or on our cell phones. God, that's getting scarier every day. Just walking around and seeing like everybody with their faces down in their cell phones. It's really for me. It's very disturbing, very dystopia, very much of a dystopia setting. But no, yes, to put it into perspective, what Lee said before is kind of the crux of everything. So drama everywhere. Everything seems to be drama. And with the social media thing, everything be dramatized. Everything has become dramatized.
Yes, it has.
Which kind of plays on the fact that, well, let's face it, human race can be pretty vain and narcissistic. So a lot of us are opting to, as it were, especially the younger generation, because they grew up with the technology almost hand in hand. People are believing that they can all attain fame, fortune, grand lives by just being on the computer, just being in front of a camera or doing articles or blogs or reviews or whatnot. And it's not necessarily that I'm knocking that per se, but to devote your entire theory of life on that is going to very much narrow your perspectives. And that's one of the things that has limited us as human beings. Yeah. Definitely within the last, I would say, good 100 years to 200 years for the very minimum. we've come to a point where we're very myopic as a species, and we can't really see, definitely can't see different perspectives, but periphery perspectives, like we don't see that a lot of these things are connected. They don't have to necessarily be direct contact. They don't necessarily have to be, the butterfly effect bullshit. It's all part of, as the younger generation would give name to, sort of these different degrees or the spectrum per se. Um, so it's all a spectrum, and going through a very conflicted time. And so, with our perspectives being very limited by social media, it's allowing a lot of bad behaviors to flourish.
Do you what, TLO? It's exactly.
I don't know, folks. I might be talking a little bit more tonight just because I've had, we've been away for a while, and I've had a lot of time to monitor things out there. As some people have called me out on the streets, I am like a watcher. If anybody has ever seen the Highlander television show, it
Yes.
was the organization that would watch and follow the immortals and document what they would do to affect and how they affect history and humankind. And so I sometimes feel like that, being one that I feel somewhat on the outside of most ecospheres or echo chambers or most communities. Um, Definitely not part of any organizations per se, besides, Humane Society or something like that. I definitely donate every year for that. Good evening, Pamela. Welcome. And San Lin.
New follower, by the way.
I was about to say, like, I remember them from the other evening. So
Patrick's also trying to join us. So we'll have Patrick here in a minute.
well, I was about to say, I thought I heard something
Yeah.
like a turnover or attempt to.
And
But no, like right now, we're so like wrapped up in, it's getting almost like farcical. Like it's getting beyond like idiocracy. It really is. Because I'm just like watching people melt down for like the stupidest of shit. And like we're seeing an increase in violence, we're seeing an increase of hatred towards one another because we're following along into these little narrow perspectives on things. And it's exacerbated by social media and the emphasis on being seen the most, because it's not even about being seen more by people or like sharing with group. It's not necessarily that. It's the weird zero-sum game that humanity seems to be falling prey to and becoming wrapped in. Because I mean, that's the true fault of capitalism, is the zero-sum game, is where you have to win it all. You have to. What was his name from Wall Street with the Martin Sheen or whatever? You don't have to like go after everything and control everything. Look at those people who do try and ascertain those sort of goals. I mean, do they truly look happy? Like, yes, I guarantee they're content. I guarantee it. Because they can have pretty much whatever they want, like a Jeff Bezos, like an Elon Musk and whatnot. Because they can just sit back and they can participate or they can not participate.
Well, here's
up to them. Go ahead.
Well, here's my question: what is happiness anymore?
Well, and that's a fair point, Dwayne. That's a very fair point. That perspective has also been skewed as of late. Because like just watching some classic movies, like since I do have an extended weekend, devoted this weekend to watching all 80s movies. And so I watched nothing but 80s movies. And I do have a collection of over, I think I just counted about 60 to 70 80s movies on various formats. Hard copy formats, though. I do have a bunch of digital copies of things, but that's for a different topic. But no, I've been watching a lot of old 80s movies, and it just reminds me of how different our perspectives were back then. And it can be attested to what made people happy in the movies, or what would be like a happy ending. And it's very different to what a happy or a good for today's movies would be. And so, like, you can visually see the differences of how we view our lives and how we view each other through that very thing. Just like you said, what makes us happy? You know, a lot of movies back then, it was very simple things. You know, as I said, it was kind of before the super zero sum game with capitalism, where everyone needed to be little online millionaires and, you know, seen by millions and whatnot, and becoming influencers per se. It's like, I appreciate you all joining us and hearing what we have to say. I believe there's a lack of that, and there needs to be more of that. So I appreciate it, but I don't sit there and crave or want or desire a to be heard. Like, I see that we have, you know, around 6 or 7 people just in the as far as I can see in StreamYards. So I'm sure
Right.
there's a few on Facebook and whatnot. So I appreciate that. But I don't sit there and hope that we have, you know, millions of people watching us or subscribed or whatnot. And that's not necessarily what it's about for me. For me, it is about just talking with different perspective people, sharing ideas, sharing stories, sharing life experiences, because that's how we're truly going to progress.
Right.
Go ahead.
And you're right, because if a lot of people remember from the other day when me and Tim was talking, we were talking about not being so angry so much.
Yeah, there's definitely that. As I said, there's a lot of like anger and division, hate, and if anybody remembers Star Wars,
Oh God.
that what path that leads you down to, the
Yeah,
dark side.
exactly. And people need to realize, like, is this, no matter what is going on in the world, does not mean we have to treat other people like shit.
Well, yeah, there is always that, the transference or whatnot.
Doesn't mean that you now have to become an angry fucking asshole.
Absolutely. No, I don't know how I came upon it, but there was something on with I do believe Mr. Ted Cruz, and he was talking, and I'm not sure what sort of panel or for what sort of thing or debate. I try to get as far away from all the details because they all get wrapped up in all these minute details that only matter for like almost 10% of the fucking population. But he was having this sort of presentation and monologue, and it was quite interesting. I think it might be on YouTube. But he showed the difference between like the peaceful protests and the not obviously peaceful protests. And it is very much a stark difference in contrast. And you also have to look at once again what the younger population likes to say, the outcomes or whatever, um, the outcomes in the lives. things drastically changed back then, and to the degree that people were getting hurt is definitely on a different level. I mean, but of course we do have more violence because we have more people, and just by sheer volume. So and so. But just the fact that they were very effective and doing things like just being in places, just existing in places. And I thought that was a very interesting stark contrast that he was actually portraying in his little presentation and with his monologue. And I also found it very interesting that from the individual who it came from, just because, well, I'm not necessarily a big Ted Cruz fan. So um, I thought he said some pretty stupid things when he was running for fucking president. So I'll tell you, that's my personal opinion.
I mean, you're not wrong. Hold on. I'm also seeing comments now coming through my Facebook page. Sorry, I'm trying to keep both open at the same time, and it's technology issues. Really good.
Yes, Pam. Yes, Pam. That's a very good list. A very good list.
Did they get taken off my own Facebook?
Looking at right now.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. There's been a lot of censure going on the internet, and it is kind of reaching definitely disturbing proportions. Like it's starting to get like almost viscerally blatant. Like they're just like, yeah, fuck you guys. You're gonna do what we told you.
Right. And you know, and man, here's my thing, and this is gonna kind of go into with what Patrick for some reason has been blocked. What?
As I said, there's been quite a bit of censure. that wasn't being what is another one of those phrases they love to throw around these days? Hyperbole.
And I'm calling Patrick right now to try to figure out what's going on too. I can't help him out.
Because I do know, like I've known actually of people just in the last couple of weeks that have lost phone service for some unexplainable reason. At least none that reasonable explanations that they were given by the phone companies themselves. So something else to be mindful and keep on your radars. Oh yes, Pam. Like I literally could just do a show about that, just about the things that I see in humanity that I believe we portray in our movies and our media and what we, put on as entertainment. But in a lot of ways, it's how we communicate and, tell our stories and whatnot in different forms and fashions and different genres and different sort of perspectives with different people. So yes, there's a lot of things in Hollywood that are going on that is just like I honestly, part of the reason why I'm doing the 80s weekend is because a lot of the movies that are coming out are just bad. I mean, and it really doesn't come down to, unless there's a few of the mainstays, especially being offered up by Disney, as we were all subject to the other evening with a cigarette interruption that we had. And so it's not even necessarily about that. It's more about just the bad stories, the really badly written characters. I mean, some of these characters are just, it's ridiculous. Like, I think I can give a good example There's a huge fiore going on with the Netflix's offering of the live action Cowboy Bebop. And there's a lot of people that have their different faults or opinions and whatnot, but what it comes down to is there's a mainstay character that's one of the main characters that is on the ship, that made an appearance right towards the end, I do believe, of the series. As with you get your whole chunk of content in one big thing, so you can just sit there and become vegetative state in front of the whatever media device you're using to stream such content. The character came out and it was as bad as some of the sort of characters, or I should say more likely the caricatures that you would see, the tropes per se in the 80s, some of the 80s movies, say regarding, let's just say, same-sex interested individuals. They were portrayed as very flamboyant and blah, blah, blah. And so the character that came on the screen was very garish to a lot of folks, very much something that disturbed people on numerous levels. So Hollywood it seems in large has decided to kowtow to, I wouldn't say a very minimum of the population, but a small minority of people that go and talk loud on the internet.
Keyboard
And
warriors.
yes, definitely the keyboard warriors, definitely the Twitter Roddy, as some people would refer to it. But it's just getting so bad that these movies are just awful. And it's not necessarily because they're propping up this race or this gender or whatever, blah blah blah. It's just they're awful, stupid ass stories. The characters are really lame. Like, just watching these 80s movies, these characters are so memorable to me. Like I watch these movies, I'm like, yes, this character and this character. And like, I guarantee you, people are not going to be like that with movies of this day and age. Like, I couldn't tell you a ton of characters in a lot of these movies that I've seen. I example Get Out, a very popular and trendy in on Twitter and whatnot. I thought it was a decent movie. Don't get me wrong. I didn't sit and think it was like awful. I thought it was definitely a little bit overblown, but it was a good movie in itself. But just the whole aura around it, and then the constant pounding and the pulpits, and just it just got just deafening. Like, it no longer became about the movie. It became about like the message or what it represented and blah, blah, blah. Seriously, what happened to just writing a really good movie? Like, it's gotten to the point where you can't even give these actors accolades for anything and call them necessarily actors.
Right, you can't.
Because they're not really portraying anything. They're just there just to fulfill some sort of checklist. And it's kind of, for me, it's personally gross. And because I am a film, kind of guy. And so I see the art form that I am passionate about just go to absolute garbage. And it's like, come on, you guys. Like, what's wrong with just enjoying a movie? I honestly have never in my life, ever watched the movie and said, and got all sad or hurt feelings, or got butt sore because there wasn't somebody that looked like me, or or sounded like me or whatever. I just
you know
enjoy the
what?
good characters.
Right, and do you know what? In a lot of the movies, like yeah, I'm gonna bring another one that we overviewed the other night, like Sneakerella. Like what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. That shit is just atrocious. Like straight up. And I will give somewhat of a mini shout out to ABBA and Preach because they had a pretty good review of the trailer themselves, and that's exactly it. Like you watch their reaction, that's exactly it. For any like not wrapped up in TikTok sort of minority or person of color out there, like they see it the same way. Like I look at it as if it's like Blackula back in the 70s, just basically like black exploitation.
Again,
Like it
Blackula.
really is.
What's up, Pat?
And it makes my head hurt.
Hold
Dude,
on.
I don't blame you.
Because I was like, what in the actual fuck?
Let me turn Patrick
Seriously?
up a little bit. What up, Patrick?
So
I agree. Good Will Hunting was a very, very fine movie.
Sleepless.
Absolutely. And Sleepless in Seattle is also a memorable one.
Do you want to know what another good movie was that I liked growing up as a kid? To be honest, was I love this movie. The acting in it was amazing. And this is coming from as a kid.
Well, it would be from the 90s, would it
Was
not?
Smokey and the Bandit.
Ah, for you getting a little old school. But yes, Smokey and the Bandit is a good, enjoyable flick that you can pretty much pop in anytime and just sit back and enjoy. You don't have to have a message given to you. You don't have to see yourselves in it. And oh my God, seriously, what the fuck, people? How can you have Oscars and give people like praise for these things that they don't do? Like none of them. Like I look at this Fiore that's going on with Lady Gaga and this House of Gucci bullshit. And it's like, oh, great, another fucking, Dallas, basically. Pretty white people with problems, basically, for, anybody of person of color. Like rich people and their first world problems and, them being the usual snaky towards each other, as we've been privy to with the Spears family. So like, and just watching just the trailers, like, she's laying it on thick, and it's like, I don't know, she totally seems like her performance is just like, I'm Lady Gaga and I'm being this person. It doesn't necessarily look like she's like actually trying to become that person. I heard that she was trying to be all method with it, talking like
don't
it.
even get me started on her.
But it is just like it, I don't know, like it looked, first off, it's trying too hard.
Bro, listen, here's the thing. Don't even get me started on Lady Gaga. And son, don't even get me fucking started on the Rocky Horror Picture Show either, because that was just shit.
Yeah, he's not a fan. I would say that I would rate it a B+. It is definitely a fun thing. I'm definitely not of the group that watches it every fucking year.
No, I'm okay. Depends on what part of the Rocky Horror Picture Show you're talking about. Are you talking about?
Yes. Good evening, Patrick.
Or are you talking about the movie?
I like the hair.
Can y'all hear me?
You go in and out, Dwayne, but as we said or attested to before, we will have those issues due to the high volume of solar activity of late. And then he drops out. Well, see, I always enjoyed the Rocky Horror Picture Show because I, as my name somewhat attests to, have a pretty close relationship with some dark materials. And so I found it enjoyable from that sort of perspective. I'm not the one that would be offended by a flamboyant character.
Okay, can y'all
A
hear me this
male.
time?
Now I can hear you, yes. You
Okay.
don't necessarily have to yell.
Okay.
I don't mind a flamboyant a male character in fishnets and a black boa and a little bit of mascara. There seems to be a lot of guys out there that wear mascara. I've never
You
been
know what?
one
But
to,
here's the thing,
but
though, too,
each their own.
And I want to say this. Here's the thing that I'm gonna say on this. And Patrick, I need you to unmute for a minute because I'm dragging Patrick into this. Growing up, dude, in middle school together, dude, we would see before the LGBTQ community even became a thing, we would see our guys that played football wearing fucking fishnets and mascaras and shit.
Yeah, no, I will. I can also have, attest to that myself of seeing that in high school, which would be a little bit obviously different generation of a high school than you, but even in that time, for sure, like there was that as well. I believe one of our snow days kings definitely would probably make a better run at a snow days queen, but because wow, maybe
exactly,
maybe a different time, maybe a different era or whatever, we would go a few rounds. But
do you know what, Sonley? You're not fucking lying. Tilo, can you pin that? Because I'm just having technical issues. Can you pin that comment that Sandley is supposed to? Thank you. You're not wrong. And I've seen that in Hollywood. And I'm going to bring something up for a minute because Patrick pointed this out to me a couple years ago when I got my first apartment. And Patrick, I'm going to go to the night that I almost burned my own fucking apartment down, okay? First night. Ghostbusters, Ghost Hunters, or Ghost Avengers, whatever the fuck it was. Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Ghost Avengers. One of the guys on Ghost Avengers was wearing fucking fishnets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll put it out there. If you've got the legs, then I guess rock it.
Like, look at Tom Holland when he fucking did that whole fucking umbrella shit on fucking Link-Sip. He's wearing a whole fucking female outfit.
Right. Yeah, no, and that's definitely out there now, like in the mainstream, because you have individuals like Harry Styles and who's the POC that played the fairy godmother in that new Cinderella with the almost all minority cast, and I don't know. I barely remember watching some of it, and I think I turned it off like 2/3 of the way because it just once again kind of reminded me some of what you would see in the 70s with the really bad gaudy black movies and stuff, and just
well,
it's just comical, or it just really like put those extremes out there where they'd have the minorities out there with the fried chicken and watermelon in the summer and all that shit, collard greens.
Now you're talking about Patrick's family right there on Thanksgiving.
Yo, all I heard was watermelon chicken and greens.
Because I'm not lying.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, yes, there definitely are minorities that enjoy those things, but not every minority.
Well,
Trust me, I don't know if I've really had any fried chicken in the last, like, at least in the last 2 years. So,
well, and here's the thing.
you know, it's not like I hate it by any means, but it's not like I'm like, oh yeah, give me some fried chicken. Yeah.
Well, here's what I want to say to people too. And sorry, I'm just kind of getting my room situated here a little bit. Put this lamp actually on the floor, so I can have like a little office space.
Ah, hello, Casimiro.
I haven't really gotten a desk in my room yet, like I've been wanting to for the past couple months.
Good to see you,
Past
my
month.
friend.
But here's my thing: and I'm gonna say this: is people need. Fuck, this lamp has to go off. Sorry, I like sitting in the dark.
And I will have to, you know, this being a newer individual, I don't want her to feel left out or unwelcome. So,
no, exactly.
We'll put another one of them up because it's a very fair point.
She says, "I'm not against gay, lesbians. To each their to each their own. I'm just tired of it always being thrown in my face in every single movie. I'm a female. I want to see manly men." Do you know what?
Yeah, no, and that's the thing.
Exactly.
Is like it's gotten to the point where like it doesn't matter how you feel or how you live your lifestyle. Like all the movies seem to be like geared for one crowd or just a few crowds, and it's like, wait a second, I thought movies originally, or at least, you know, back until like the 80s 90s, were out for however many millions of dollars by how many people actually see it, as opposed to like all the merchandising and super capitalistic shit that they've got going on now with like deals and side marketing and all that. But to the point, yeah, it's everywhere. It's the stories are predicated around it. The changing of characters into the queer and the LGBTQ, and it's like I actually would love personally, like actually love and enjoy and go and see like a new superhero that was, you know, and I'll put it out there, a super lesbian or something, you know,
Nice.
give her some cool powers, a good backstory, and I'll go and watch that. Like that's the whole thing. Is like, why do you have to turn this character or that character into something that they haven't been, especially for these characters that have been around for generations. Like we're not talking about changing like one or two generations. We're talking about changing like almost 4 or 5 generations worth of memories, worth of history, because we know damn well these things have helped shape our culture and our history and our ideas about what it is to be human. That's part of what the emphasis of comic books is. It's somewhat of an introspection on humanity. It's played out definitely numerous storylines, numerous characters, especially the very well written ones. Like I'll put one out there, the Sandman. It's an infinitely fantastic world that Neil Gaiman created with the Sandman, and with death, and with say like the villain, one of the villains, the Corinthian, with eyes that were basically mouths with sharp teeth, and he would literally eat and suck out people's souls and shit like that. Like it was, and they had just these fantastic stories, and just in depth, and it showed people, the readers, and I felt like it was a great story, but I learned something and it made me think about things. So that's like what was super appealing. And now all we have is just these characters that are being taken over, changed over, you know, turned to different genders, turned to different, you know, nationalities or whatever, just because. because that's what the characters are, but because that's what they're trying to do. And that's what's really driving away a lot of Hollywood. Like, if you actually look at the headlines right now, that's one of the things I could espouse to on my own show about, Hollywood and whatnot, is like Disney is losing mucho bucks. We're talking like shitloads. And so right now there's a huge thing between the CEO and say Kathleen Kennedy. Basically, it's a huge civil war. It's literally like, Iron Man, Captain Marvel, and all of them, or whatnot. No, Iron Man. I mean, all of them scrapping, like all of them. And that's basically what's happening with Disney, and that is translating into a lot of their product, a lot of the things that they're offering, because a lot of it is not having the same continuity that they had developed and watched flourish with the original, like, Avengers, and with the original first phase and second phase into the third. Like, they built these characters, they built this history, this legacy with the audience. And we, as, like, I feel with one of the other franchises out there, unfortunately, has, as I mentioned before, with the Happy Days Fonz situation, the jumping the shark, one of them is Fast and Furious.
Yes.
And like when it started as one thing, but it grew, and it grew in such a way that it kept audiences attached to these characters, and we like grew with them, and we drew things from them, because it became more than just the rates in the cars and the chasing people and the tits and ass shaking and all the little car groupies and whatnot. It became like all these different stories because they tried different things and they tried to themselves grow, and we grew with them. But now it's getting just absolutely silly, but it somewhat reflects what is going on with our lives, our actual culture and our lives. It's somewhat jumping the shark, where we're doing things not because they're right, not because they're good, not even because they make us feel good or we think are right, but just because we're told that these things are right and that we need to do them.
Well, and do you know what, Antilo, that brings me into a subject that I kind of didn't want to touch, but
I kind of, to be honest, that was actually intentional. I was lobbing that up there for you to hit.
You were throwing that out there to me. So as you guys know, the whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing blew up. Completely 100% in our face. Jaws, Friday the 13th, goes up at Cemetery. And here's my thing, man, and I'm gonna throw this out there. I'm gonna throw this on the Verge. Sorry, I'm also pulling up the Freedom Revolution Network Twitch because people are about to start getting banned here in about 2 seconds. Okay, cool. Yep.
But if my memory corrects, or is it just the older movies? Or I'm trying to keep up with the chat, but I'm not sure entirely. I see a lot of great movies that literally almost everybody has seen, and most people, at least a good 70 to 80% of the population, enjoy. I saw Jaws pop up there, so yes, it is a great older movie. But if we were talking specifically about 80s movies, technically I do believe it was 77 or 78 that Jaws came out.
And right, exactly. And so here's a topic that I'm going to kind of throw into here. because Patrick was actually the one that kind of brought it to my attention the other day, and he was going to have me tell you, because everybody knows I'm friends with Patrick on Facebook.
In regards to the Rittenhouse stuff?
The Rittenhouse. So I was doing some digging into this. So after 4 days of...
Is this an entirely different line of
so after
train of thought?
4 days of deliberation, 4 days of nothing but constant thinking by the right and left and the jury, Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted of all charges. 100% all charges, right?
Yes, all 5 charges, I do believe.
And here's my thing. How? Just how? Because he has an endangerment charge. He had Full Metal Jacket rounds and his gun. How did he not get hit with endangering other people?
I suppose that's a good question, but considering that prosecution didn't go for that, and the state or the judge definitely didn't offer it or anything, that wasn't really talked about too much. I personally thought it was interesting as well, the aspect that, like, because personally that would be something I would feel he would be guilty of, would be like reckless discharging, especially like here in Minneapolis, because you can, to a certain degree, with a conceal and carry, defend yourself, but it's definitely a lot less, or I should say it's a lot more stipulated than, say, other gun laws. Definitely stand your ground laws in certain southern states, but it's a lot more complicated. But you can defend yourself to a certain degree, but it changes slightly within the confines of the city of Minneapolis. Granted, there seems to be a lot of that going on of late, but still, it's been something that's been in place for at least a decade, where you can get a higher charge if you're just firing a gun within the city limits itself, especially, obviously, if you don't have a carrying permit. It probably would automatically go to that, probably a felony charge or whatnot. Obviously, it hasn't necessarily panned out the way they hoped especially the recent past, but yeah, I thought maybe, but it is Wisconsin, and people just don't get how they love their guns in Wisconsin. Like, I would say it is obviously just second to Texas as far as population, ownership, use, permits, that sort of thing in Wisconsin.
And you know what? And here's my thing. And I want to point another thing out, because we've seen a raw picture of this. The DA wanted to ripe on Kyle about gun safety, right?
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
But pointing a gun at a crowd of people, finger on the trigger, yes, it's unloaded, but was that gun even checked properly?
Well, yeah, no, that's definitely a very, it's a very good question. I don't know if it's necessarily one of the main things, but it's taken hold as far as the media cycle of late, because it is once again one of those very glaring instances of the somewhat oxymoronic state of which certain individuals out there think. Yeah, you can't necessarily talk about safety when you are pointing a weapon, an actual like weapon, at not just a crowd of people, but the jury. I thought was the more particularly poignant aspect of the whole ordeal, or at least for that news cycle, because obviously it's been waves this entire week.
Right. So, Patrick, you've stayed
Yes.
quiet.
Yes, the audience would like to hear your opinion.
The audience, aka Pam, would like to hear.
Okay.
You know
Well,
what?
I'm thinking it's more than Pam. I only seen Pam's comments, so.
And you know what? I
Yeah,
want
call
to
out
hear
to me.
your tech. I want to hear your point of view from a person of color.
I mean, I kind of already did the other day, but like I kind of didn't want to throw the whole race card in there, but I had to because being a black person, the struggle's real. It really is. Sometimes I may make a joke out of it, but sometimes it's a struggle. Because like every day for a black person, it feels like a hunt. Like the struggle's real.
Keep going. You don't have to
Cause
hide shit
like
here.
if Cause like if I was to walk outside right now with a pistol, I'm getting at least 47 guns pointed at my face within 20 minutes for no unknown reason, just because I want to walk down the street and get some juice at Speedway. What? But yet, if Dwayne was to do the same thing, it's all cool. It's America. I think we confuse sometimes. But yeah,
Oh
it's
no, it's
being
because
black is a
we're
struggle.
falling prey to the battles between each other. That's the thing. Is like literally if you go to certain parts of America, um, they would almost kill you if you were a white man walking down the street with an assault rifle, because things are so vastly different between the areas. Like I've started talking with a couple of people who are in far different areas, and the contrast between our experiences, and these are people of color as well. Um, their perspectives are so vastly different. Like it would amaze you, Patrick. Um, because one is definitely like, you would think almost like lived somewhat of like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air sort of lifestyle. Like
Right.
he wouldn't know anything about checking your six and shit if you're walking down the main street or whatnot.
Right, Patrick. I want you to look at that comment that Sandy just posted about you.
Yes, and that's a sentiment that I believe if you have any sort of like actual brain power, like you would be able to assess. Like, I'm sorry, you would know the people that are out there to be assholes, even if they were to legally have the permission of the law to carry. So I honestly or personally wouldn't care if a freaking Muslim would walk down the street with a large automatic rifle. If he had that shit holstered, I'd be like,
It would
okay,
have been different.
yeah, it'd be different. If I saw any of the brothers running down the street and they had all their shit holstered, I'd be like, all right, If I saw white people with their shit, like, because I see all of it. Because I live in Minneapolis, let me tell you, I guarantee you the gun shops in Minnesota are damn near cleared out because every fucking buddy is carrying. And I mean everybody. I swear, I saw somebody who was possibly as young as like just 18 or 21 or whatever. And it was a white woman, a little petite white woman. And I saw her little fucking back holster when she went to pay at the Walgreens. Because she reached into her bag and then reached over the counter, and I saw the little holster right peeking in the back of her back there, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And it was a woman that you definitely would never assume or even think would be carrying, but she was.
Exactly, and you know, and I
But
want to.
but for me, it didn't freak me out. I was just like, "Oh wow." Just because she had a gun, felt it necessary to have a gun. I was like, damn, it jogged my or triggered me somewhat because I was just like, wow, we've gotten to the point where, little white cis in the middle of downtown Minneapolis, the commercial business district of Minneapolis, Minnesota. In broad daylight at 2:45 in the afternoon, has got what looked to be a little 22 in the back of her, the small of her back.
Do you know what? And here's the funny thing, and I'm gonna go back to something Patrick said because I've had this experience happen. Okay, a buddy of mine, mixed, about 5'5", about $1.75, right? Has his concealed carry permit. In the state of Ohio, you're allowed to open carry. So I got my gun down on my leg. My buddy has his gun in his holster. It's covered up by, a shirt, not a jacket. We get stopped for fucking the dumbest reason because I threw a cigarette on the fucking ground. Patrick knows what I'm talking about. Patrick was with me. Fucking, I flicked the fucking. It wasn't even on the ground. I flicked the motherfucking thing and it hits the cop car because I'm not paying attention. Just in the window. So we get stopped. They see my gun. They see Patrick. They look at. They don't even look at me. They see a mixed guy and a black guy.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's the crux of the matter. That's where the ones that may or may not have good intentions, who are on, get lost in the mix and the heap of the idiots and the people who are bigoted and kind of racist dickheads. But because a lot of their groupthink, and it's not necessarily the idea or the actual police force, I believe it comes down to more of the union and the mentality and the people of power that they have, and control somewhat of the decisions, the actions, and definitely, blatantly, the repercussions, if any, for said officers. It's the sort of corrupt mindset that they use these sort of statistics and use it to identify people of color as more of the aggressor, more of the threat, and conscious thing. I believe you can definitely see it with very blatantly a lot of times inherent in dogs. Because like, it's interesting that from like a little Shih Tzu up to, a Great Dane, almost without fail will start barking at a minority or a black person.
Yeah, true.
There's definitely, it's not like every single one, but we're talking high percentile. I know that most dogs, strange dogs to me, in passing will bark. But ones that are, say, like on their leash with their owners, and I pass by, and their owner identifies me, and I identify them, and then the dog identifies me. Okay, this guy's not a threat, So they'll continue on their journey, and they won't say anything. Obviously, less disciplined ones will. But that's what I'm saying is a majority I've found in my days of dogs, just in general passing, will bark at people of color.
Well,
and I'm not saying that they're racist, but there could be that sort of training or mindset that is propagated through lineages of idiot people out there, sort of to teach that behavior, to sort of have that mentality, because obviously animals pick up on your moods and they become moody like you, like their owners.
Right. But
so if their owner's a racist prick, I can guarantee you that fucking Rottweiler is going to rip the nuts off of any darkie he sees come close to that fucking house.
Right. And you know what? And I want to point out something Sandy said. There is people in every race. There's bad people in every race. White, brown, black, Mexican.
Yeah, Asian. It don't matter. There's bad people. That's the thing. And that's where a lot of the politics, a lot of the virtue signaling, a lot of the sort of narrow-minded mindset comes to pass, because they want to blame it on certain groups. They want to blame it on certain agitators, the villain du jour, to be honest. And I've grown tired of it. I've been around a while, long enough to know that a lot of it is just a bunch of bullshit that they like to fucking put up there.
I mean,
and incite people, because a lot of it is just way overblown. And it's like, if you just sit there and dwell on it and dwell on it and dwell on it, that's all you're going to ever think about. And it's like, why the fuck would you devote that much attention, energy, time to something of that effect, with that energy, with that mindset, with all those feelings attached? It's like, why would you want to live your life with those sort of feelings all the time?
I mean, and you know what, Tilo?
It's like, yeah, you can be pessimistic, you can be somewhat mistrusting of people, but you got to understand that, there's assholes out there, but not every damn person is trying to get you. Like, right. Seriously, there's 7 billion of us out here. Do you really think that fucking Winnie the Pooh is really truly concerned about whether or not you get to bring your Tupperware to the fucking PTA, whether you get to drive your Prius or not, whether you get to to even vote? Like, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit about any of us. Like, and you have to remember that if we're going to be all about our feelings, all about our perspectives, there's people halfway around the world who could not care less either way about what happens in the good old US of A.
Do you know what?
So for us to make it all about us is also getting somewhat annoying. It's like, all right, we need to all calm the fuck down.
Right.
Just like San said, there's bad people everywhere, in every color, in every sex, in every religion. It does not matter.
Do you know what, Tilo? And I want to make a point too, because how many times have you had to tell me during a show to calm the fuck down?
Well, yeah, no, I tell that to anybody who's getting too wrapped up in the feelings propaganda and the shit that I see that's very parallel to V for Vendetta, that the government and a lot of controlling parties want you to live in fear. To be honest, wants poor Patrick to sit there and fear the cops because he's expecting to get just taken down at every corner. And I get to deal with the situation where, because of who I am, because I'm halvesies, because I'm an Oreo, because I'm mulatto. Like, I could sit there and live in fear from either side because I've gotten shit from either side.
Did you say mulatto? What the fuck is that?
That was definitely something that was used heavily in the 70s and early 80s to refer to children who were mixed.
I've never fucking heard that in my life.
Well, duh. Not that many people use it anymore.
But you know what? Here's my thing too, and I want people to understand this, you know, and this is one thing I love about Patrick. And I love about TLO. Actually, I love about all three of us. We don't live in constant fear when we walk out our front door.
No. I stay alert, but I don't live in fear. I'm not sitting there, I'm like, oh, every day I might die and shit. Like, nah, man. Fuck all that. Why would I want to live my life like that? By choice or through fucking force. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, that's all I got to say to that effect.
Right. And you know what? And here's what I want to point out to people. Yes, there's going to be idiots. Yes, there's going to be drunks. There's going to be drug addicts. There's going to be rapists. And oh my God.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, it's not like we're going to literally be able to
avoid it.
Fucking just phase out rapists. Like, seriously, like, that's something that's happened obviously since man could write down history. So if we haven't been able to figure it out or stop that sort of behavior in the however many thousands or hundreds of thousands of years that man has been around, I'm not quite guaranteed or assured that it ever will be. Like, yeah, we can bring it down to a minimum, but there's always going to be people who their brains just are skewed to that sort of dynamic. And that's truly what it comes down to, is something happened when it was being developed. And to be honest, religious people will say that they're more susceptible to the devil or to whatever anti-deity or whatnot, but just it's going to be that bad behavior, icky people, assholes, people who don't like women, people who don't like gays, people who don't like blacks. There's always going to be those people. But seriously, from a fucking mixed brother, why would you waste all your fucking time on those idiots? Seriously.
Exactly.
Like, I'll get mad at them every now and then because they're fucking idiots and they're just being outrageous. But I get mad at anybody who just starts acting outrageous because it's getting old. Like, we don't have time for being outrageous. And it's not because the world is ending via freaking whatever Greta or climate change damnations and blah blah blah. Like, no, it's not about that. It's about we're sitting here and just gnawing at each other and nothing's getting done. I actually saw like a senator, I forgot who it was, but it was a woman, I think it was a Democrat, that she was just getting tired of like people bickering and the progressives saying you're not being progressive enough, and the normal, more moderate Democrats were saying, okay, we need to chill the fuck out. Because like people are starting to tune out.
No, wait a minute.
They are not seeing the message that we want to give them because they're just getting tired of this shit.
Now, wait a minute. People want to talk about people who are not being productive, right? Look at our goddamn fucking president.
Oh, yeah, he's so productive, Dwayne.
People, no, that's exactly what I'm saying, TLO. People want to talk about people not being productive. Look at our fucking dumb-ass, white dementia-having-ass fucking president.
Well, no, he's slipping. Like, there's definitely something wrong with him. But to be honest, I thought he was a poor choice to begin with. I did not vote for him.
This fucking scares me. Patrick would be a better president than him.
Garfield, not now.
But Garfield would even make a better fucking president than Joe Biden.
Yes. I actually told that to my mother just yesterday. Because we went a little bit to head. But I'm just like, all right, woman, you really think that dude has a grasp on what the fuck is actually going on? Like, seriously? Like, he can barely get through like a 5-minute fucking speech or whatever. And it's just like, it's bad. Like, Trump was definitely no orator. And Mr. Obama got to embellish a little too much, especially in his second term. But like, he is just not making sense, some of the things he's saying, and it's just like, really? Like, I feel like oh fuck, I forgot. There's Mugatu from Zoolander, that character towards the end of the movie. Like, is anybody seeing this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Because he was referring to the fact that Zoolander basically just pouted the same for his 3 looks, and people were awed by it. Like, everybody was, and it's pretty much the same contextually speaking. It's like, really? Like, people think that he's a capable president? Like, actually?
Obama was more capable than
Of
him.
course, Obama. Like, anybody is more capable. Like, with the one exception of maybe fucking Nixon.
MGTOW, what is up, bud?
Like, seriously, that would be the only questionable. Hell, most people would actually even take a fucking Carter at this point. And Carter was definitely not the most famous of Democrat presidents, let me tell you.
You know what? You know what? Here's my fucking thing, and I want to point this out to everybody. How am I going to try to say this and say this appropriately? Because I really got to watch what I say when I'm going to say this.
Well, don't be a blatant dick, but you don't necessarily have to, like, blunt it down too much, you know?
That's where I'm trying to find that happy medium. Because I'm trying to stop being a dick, but I know there's times I still need to be a dick.
Oh, yeah. No, there is. Trust me.
So I'm going to be a dick. Fuck this. For people that are a fucking Democrat and people who are a fucking Republican and Libertarian and an independent party, we need to get our fucking panties out of the goddamn motherfucking bunch and just get along.
Well, it's not even necessarily that, because we don't even necessarily have to get along, but we just have to accept the other person for whatever faults we find in them and just get on with, like, trying to get shit done. Because a lot of the things that have been gotten done is all these little stopgap things. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it coming up where we have to worry about the fucking budget again, and it could be a shutdown and blah 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 for before the holidays because they only passed a stopgap measure for like 2 fucking months, because none of them want to actually deal with things. They just want to sit there on their bully pulpits and yell at each other and accuse each other of whatever indecencies towards one another. Because I'm sorry, a lot of it is overblown, and a lot of it, people need to just stop being so, like, butthurt and angry and reactionary and just stupid, to be honest. It's like, once again, why waste your time being angry or just going after people? It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna sit here and write this, response to this tweet and oh, I'm gonna tell him what's on my mind, and oh, I'm gonna show him. Yeah, I'm gonna really show him. I'm gonna tell him what's up. I'm gonna repost what this other person said that this other fucking person said. And it's like, okay, like you can't even say that it's your original thought by that point. So don't even go there. First of all. Second of all, it's like, you know, is that how you feel, or is that how they're telling you to feel? Because it comes down to that nowadays.
It's honestly how
people are scared to talk the way they want to talk, or the way they would actually talk. Just like you just censored yourself there.
But that's how I feel, though. Because
but how we feel about things is obviously what directly corresponds to how we react and how we interact with others.
I mean, exactly. But here's my thing too. You know what? I'm just gonna fucking say it. I'm tired of people looking at me fucking weird, like I'm fucking some fucking retarded person that gets on this show every night and fucking spills nonsense. Why do you guys think I went on a fucking 3.5 month fucking hiatus?
No, see, that's the thing is people are going to judge each other, and unfortunately, because of the internet and social media, they're pretty limited, narrow-minded, and very bigoted. So, yeah, like once again, I don't sit here and worry about whether or not everyone agrees with me, or whether or not a single person agrees with me. I'm fairly confident that at least one or two is going to agree with me, considering, once again, the mathematics, pure and simple, the volume of the fact there's 7 billion of us. I do believe by 2023 or 24, it'll be 8 billion. Even with the pandemic. So I don't sit here and wrap myself up in such concerns, because I've got other shit to do. I was doing other shit earlier. Granted, it was a mission, but we don't necessarily need to go into detail on that. But I've got other things to take care of in my life. I've got my life to live, and I don't need to sit here and spend hours making videos basically bitching about, for most times, hearsay, for most times made up stories, for most times blatant misinformation. And like, people are just falling for it, because that's, as I said, I'm scared seeing all of you out there, all of you, like, face down in your phones, like damn near 24/7, and it's weird. Like,
you know, and that's why
I'm starting to see people literally walk around and not look up, and they're like walking through and like opening doors without like looking up, and I'm like, okay, this is a little too much. Like, we really do not need to be that fucking dependent on the internet, on social media, on Twitter, on TikTok, on being attention whores, on whatever, whatever voids we're trying to fill in our whatever empties, whatever hurt feelings, whatever traumas, whatever. It's not a really good coping mechanism, folks. I'm gonna tell you that right now. And there's actual psychoanalytical proof on that. Numerous papers that have come out of late, with numerously, or I should say, numerous peer-reviewed papers that are attesting to the fact that social media is really actually traumatizing us more than some of the traumas we may or may not be trying to deal with, express, share, or try and find some meaning for. Like, we're totally getting wrapped up in our online personas. We're falling prey to what Scarlett refers to as the Ready Player One aspect, is we're feeling more complete in our lives, feeling like we're only better people, or only actually people, if we're seen on the internet, which is kind of, like a Mel Brooks farcical sort of thing in itself, where, people are finding better themselves in reality online. It's like a bad fucking like 90s or aughts sci-fi, offering from Hollywood.
I mean, TLO, you're not lying.
Or, something along the lines of like cell phones becoming self-aware and attacking us or some stupid shit like that, which I actually think they did.
I mean, TLO, you're not wrong.
Yes, MGTOW, and there is definitely that as well. That's what I like to refer to as anti-Darwinism.
But TLO, you want to know what the funny thing is?
What way?
Ever since moving out of Ohio, I've been on my phone less, like apps wise, and actually calling and talking to people.
Well, that's good.
Wanting to have a conversation because I don't really have people here physically I can like walk up to and just go like, "Hey, you want to hang out?"
Well, I understand that to some degree, but I also understand that we're allowing ourselves to become somewhat segregated from other human beings. Is, as I said before, like people think that they can attain glory and riches by becoming internet stars. And so what are they doing? They're on their fucking computer almost half the day. And yes, you can be on the computer outside, but for a very limited time. And most people don't have the sort of technology or money to support the technology to be able to go for long periods of time. So they're usually tethered to some sort of building or structure to begin with. So once again, i.e., being indoors. And it is amazing because like I have started to notice when I walk along the streets that we're supposed to be approaching this somewhat near normal or back to close to normal situation in our daily lives. Yes, I've definitely seen traffic more along the lines of traffic pre-pandemic, but I've definitely not seen the people out and about in general or in mass like I did in pre-pandemic's time. So these times, people are, as I said, kind of staying indoors. They're kind of following along what was somewhat beaten into their heads with the lockdowns, with the sort of things to that effect, the dealings with and how we coped and whatnot. Because just think about it, like if people live in fear, live attached to their phones or internets, and are locked into these little echo chambers of certain thoughts, you're going to find a boogeyman around every corner. I mean, I can't even believe some of the shit that they're saying. And I can't even tell you which political party, because it's all of them now. It's damn near everybody, and it's damn near all of the public and what would be quote unquote, regular folks, and it's teetering on madness because we're all just like blaming each other. We're all like vilifying each other. We're all like worried about, whether or not the boogeyman, whether or not this person's going to get me.
My sister just popped in here.
Like,
my sister just popped in here, and she brought up a funny question, TLO, because all three of us do this. And I can attest for this because I know this person in person. What about people that go out to eat and just sit on their phones?
Well, that's kind of my point that I'm saying. It's even in those situations, you're more likely to see a lot of people that are still like holding their phones and in the other hand holding their forks. So
Hence the reason my wife and I now have a date night with no phone at the dinner table now. Really? When did that get implemented?
well, see, there you go, and that's something that's been happening more often than not with people who are at a luxury with relationships. You know, they're finding time to be away from any sort of social media or their phones or that sort of
Well, do you
thing
know what?
because
And here's the thing
they
too.
know even if the phone is like at the table or whatever, they're gonna fucking look at it. Like
Right.
I literally have seen people get into arguments and damn near like domestic disputes over that sort of shit. Because I used to work in like nightclubs and restaurants and stuff like that, and so I would see people on their dates, and you know, I worked in the service industry for damn near 20 years. I worked in the fucking nightclub security for damn near 20 years. So
Right.
I've seen the patterns and I've seen it happen. I've seen like couples that go out and try and you know have a date without their cell phones, and then one of them like tries to sneak and pull it out, and they get caught, and it becomes a huge thing. Holy shit! I've seen some messy ones. I've seen one where a woman threw a plate at her man, or at least whoever she was there with, or whatever. Like a fully plated plate of food at oh boy, like less than 4 feet away. I guarantee you that shit hurt. And yeah, it possibly could have been exacerbated by some previous history, but just given the context of the moment, I thought it was pretty impressive at the time. Yes, in common by Brittany. That's a very common bylaw, so to speak. Is if it's family, usually you can make an exception.
Right. Like my mom as a kid when we first got our phones, and she had this growing for us growing up when we sat down and we ate dinner. Good night, McTow. It was good seeing you.
Good evening, my friend.
Like growing up as a kid, and when my mom had a smartphone, you want to know what the rule was for every motherfucker sitting at the dinner table? No phones. If you were sitting at my dinner table growing up with us as a kid, no phone. You weren't allowed to have your phone. Her role still is now at the dinner table, and I still get yelled at for it because, sometimes like I'll get a text message from like Brett or Shannon, or I'll get a text message, like from you and Scarlett, you know what I mean, and I'll see your guys' name pop up, and I'll just, I'll look across real quick, you know what I mean,
Yes.
and I don't see it, and I reply to you guys real quick because you guys are family, and my mom will go like, Dwayne, put your phone on. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. When I say my brother, it means one or two people. It's like you or Patrick. You know what I mean? Because TLO, my mom knows the
Yeah, I
relationship that me and you
understand.
have with
Right.
each other.
Oh, did you freeze again?
Can you hear me?
Hey, I've had like no, like, yeah, I don't, and and you can vouch for this. There are times where you won't hear from me for a while because, as I said, I've got shit to do and I've got, my life to live. And
Right.
even if you're a family member or a close friend, I may or may not respond to you right away. Because I honestly don't have my phone out very often. I do mostly at work because I'm watching videos and looking at articles and watching all the misinformation and all the hatred that people keep spewing at each other,
Right.
thinking that it's cool or edgy
You're
or
constantly
this and that. And
you're
God,
constantly picking up information. Like Tilo, when is the last time me and you had a phone, like actually sit down and talk on the phone?
it's been a little while, but I'll give you this offering. Like I don't talk to a lot of people on the phone. I don't text people all the time. I mean I can. Like obviously if I had like a very dear loved one, like, you know, in a coupling situation, yeah, I would
Right.
be more likely to interact in a expedited manner. But you know, I don't live my life to be attached to this thing.
Exactly. Like
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 yeah, other
I
things.
know if I texted you and said, "Hey, I need to get from here to here. I need to get from Alabama to you," and I have no way to do it. Like you would text me. I know you would text me. I'm like, okay, how the fuck can we get you from here, from point A to me?
Well, yeah,
You know, to
like
you.
you've never texted me that, so we've never had that situation. But other situations where you said I need to talk to you about some advice or something, you know, I'm pretty Johnny on the spot.
Right, like when the whole shit with Mackenzie happened, and fucking, I was with Brittany and Shannon, and I told them like, "Hey, I gotta fucking call TLO," and I said, I point blank in all capital letters, I pointed out, "Fucking tech, call me." Or I
Right?
know Patrick, who barely likes to talk on the fucking phone anymore. He barely fucking answers my phone calls nor my text messages. But tonight he saw we were live. I'm like, "Hey, can I just fucking pop in for the fucking shits and giggles?" You know,
Oh
or
yeah,
when I do text you now,
I,
TLO, it's like, "Hey, do you want to do a show tonight?"
Yeah. And once I got done with my business, um, I texted you that I was going to be at home at a certain time, and shortly after that time, we went on the air.
Right, exactly. So like I don't even live on this thing anymore. Like I'm gonna put this out there, and I love Brittany to death. She is my sister. She is my best friend. I barely even talk on my phone anymore. Like I barely even call or text her because I'm so fucking busy. Like to
Well,
me,
I've always been of the firm mindset, Brittany, that any child under the age of like 12, 13 should not have a device of any fucking sort.
like with Dean, we've already admitted, like me and Julie have already admitted he's not having a phone till he is at least he'll get a flip phone first, but he ain't getting a smartphone.
Yeah, there is definitely no way or reason, rhyme or reason for a 13-year-old and under to have a fucking smartphone. There is
Like
none.
No, like he has a little tablet we got him for the car. So when like he's in the car for a long period of time, like it has movies and stuff on it, like he can watch, because he's so young and he can't sit in a car for so long, but it doesn't do nothing else. Which we sat down and had a long talk about that. Like, hey, look, if we want to get Dean this, how can we prevent it being connected to it? And you know what, Brittany? Right. I didn't even get my first phone until I think I was 14, 13, 14.
dang.
And it was a flip phone, TLO. I mean, shit. It was a little, you remember the little Net 10 phones?
Yo,
Dwayne, I've been around since the time before cell phones. So, yes, I remember them.
yo, I ain't had my first phone until I was like 19 and out of high school.
Exactly. You know what, Patrick? I want to bring up a very, very old fucking memory. You remember when the fact we were both in the same treatment facility and we weren't allowed to have a cell phone? We got a
Well,
limited
I didn't
time a
have one no
week.
way. I never had one until after I graduated high school.
TLO, I will put it to you like this: in the treatment facility we were in, we got a limited time we can be on the phone with family.
Yes, like is most often the case with treatment facilities.
We weren't even allowed to own a flip phone. We weren't allowed to have a device that could be connected to the internet. I think inhalers or vapes prove me wrong. Okay, TLO, can I answer? Can I show this dumbass real quick since I have it in my fucking hand?
It's just an idiot heckler, aka troll. Ignore him.
I'm just gonna take it apart. Not a vape. Not a fucking vape.
And vapes are now legal in, what is it, like 16, 17 states. So it's almost turned completely over. So people just need to chill the fuck out.
Yeah, like chill the
and,
fuck out.
and let's just move on. But I'm quite certain it's an idiot troll. So let's just move on to what you were saying. And yeah.
You know, and it's like I didn't have my first smartphone, my first actual smartphone, until I got out of treatment, until I actually moved in on my own. And then you can even ask Brittany, I had a hard time staying off my phone when I actually got my own plan. Like, yes, like while we're on here, like while we're like when TLO, like you had a lot to say, I was sitting here scrolling through Facebook, looking for articles, looking for situations, you know, like, hey, what can provide the fucking show close, right?
Sure.
The only time I'm ever on my phone as much as I am anymore through anything is between the beginning of August till the beginning of November, and that is in constant contact with Scarlett for August, September, October, November, about 3 months because it's hurricane season. Or early
Speaking of
July.
Scarlett, how is she doing?
She's fucking active on Facebook. She's seen that we're live. I don't know why she hasn't popped on here. She was supposed to be here, but I am, Brett. I am. I saw you. You know, and here's my thing. For all these kids, dude, okay, I will take it, I will put it to you like this. When fucking me and Mackenzie would go on a date, fucking Patrick will even testify this. I couldn't get her to pry out of her fucking phone for 30 minutes until Patrick started a conversation.
Now the young generation are much like that.
Like,
and it goes back to what was said earlier in the comments, Dwayne. If you go back, I'm not sure if it was either.
I think it was Brett.
If it was either your sister or Sam, that mentioned the fact that they saw the study that kids will get weird and extra clinging to the internet and to electronic devices if they start at an earlier age.
Right, and look why kids are failing school. Why? Because they're allowed to have this in class.
There's a lot of reasons to that one. It could be a major contributor. It's definitely not the main contributor, but there's that. There's the fact that there's basically the breakdown of education in America at this point. A complete failure from within of the system, once again facilitated by the unions. But I've always said, and this is the reason why I could definitely never be a socialist, is because I know unions are a fucked up thing, because no matter what, even if they started with good intent, just like any system, they would become corrupt from within. And when you have something that's in place to be viewed as like a safety measure or protection or a right, even, it gains its own basically essence. It becomes its own thing. And that's what we see with a lot of unions across the board. We're talking labor unions. We're talking with the shit that's happening at our ports and truckers unions. And then we have the shit with the teachers unions and them fighting with all this infighting with CRT and, oh, this is wrong, and we got to teach our kids to be like super hateful towards white kids and teaching them that, you know, they're inherently racist and whatnot. Yeah, you have, and then you have the police unions that obviously are running amok and run things basically. Like the mayors of cities don't necessarily have the kind of power that the leader of the Metropolitan Police Force Union has. Like they can dictate and manipulate a lot of rules. And so across the board, we've seen unions time and time again become basically too big for themselves. They go so high that they lose touch of the ground of what they were developed and brought about to do, which is actually protect people's rights, protect people's ability to take time off and family protections and whatnot. But it's become this organization, almost like a mafiosos, you know, and they're trying to determine the outcomes of millions of people in different cities. And to be honest, they have a lot more power than they should very well have.
Right. And you know, there's a rule that Brittany used to have for me until I became really good at not being on my phone. Is that once I got in the car, I was to hand Brittany my cell phone. I just kind of thought about that. My own sister would take my phone and go like, no, you're spending time with me. Give me your phone.
Well, it's always been my mindset, and I'm sure it's shared by most drivers out there. If you're driving, it's your car, it's your rules.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you know, yes, that ties in with our story, but does it surprise me? No, because everyone treats their car differently and to their own taste, and they deem whatever their occupants may be their behavior and how they treat the car. So, yeah, each their own. If she didn't want you to be on your cell phone or even sneak a peek while you're in there talking with her, then that's her reason.
Right, like she put
There's
in
also some people that be weirder than that, and like I knew a girl who would take people's cell phones. This was early days when cell phones started taking pictures, but she would actually like take the phones because she didn't want people to take pictures of her in the car.
you know, here's the thing, like she put in the chat, how many fights did we get in because of a phone? A lot. Like it got to the point where she blocked me. She texted me saying, "When you don't want it to be on your phone, call my phone."
Well, see, Dwayne, you're exhibiting some of the same behavior and patterns that you're seeing in some of these even younger kids of being somewhat mental and stuck on stupid with their devices.
Exactly.
Because I have seen some shit. I've seen scenes where basically like not as drastic or violent as the movies, but where like an accident will happen because somebody's on their device, they literally walk right by it, and like a car crashes like 6 feet from somebody, and they're just still on their cell phone and walking along the sidewalk and do, and I'm just like, oh, okay. I guess that must have been a major important tweet there, huh, mister?
Right. And you know, and like there was a kid in high school when I played football in 9th grade who thought he was going to put his phone in his pad pocket on his girdle. Patrick knows the story I'm getting ready to fucking say too. The
I think you've
motherfucker
mentioned
got
this
hit in the
before.
fucking leg. Exactly where his phone was. His phone broke. Cut himself. it embedded him. Like it went through and through the pattern into his leg. And Patrick looked at him and said, "Dumbass, why do you think my phone's in my fucking locker and not my fucking pads? Like I fucking told you in the first place."
Well, yeah, that does seem inherently problematic, just to be honest.
Right, like the reason I'm on my phone now is because I'm texting Brittany.
For example, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm texting my sister because there's things I'm not gonna say out loud that I'll put through a text message.
Let's see, that's my point. Is even now, even subconsciously, you still display those behaviors and those patterns.
Yeah. And I've been trying to
even though you acknowledge them, you still. That's funny. Come on, Dwayne, snap out.
Yeah, she said, "Love you too," and that I am. I called her an asshole.
Oh, see, he zoned out permanently on me.
No, I'm not zoned out. You broke this to me while I'm on air, ma'am. I need to just like shut my phone off, like my screen off, and put it behind my computer so I don't touch it anymore.
Yeah, Dwayne, your phone is going to be just fine where it is. It doesn't need to be coddled.
It's not that. It's the message that Brittany sent me.
Dwayne seems to be having a moment, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. I still haven't. Yeah, I know. I'm just like, TLO, look at that message and put it into context. You'll understand what I'm saying.
Which message? Her last message?
Yes. Why do you think the excitement on my face? Just don't say it out loud. Just put it into context and then just, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You understand. Yeah, you understand now. That's the message I got. I still can't believe you just did that to me on air. I'm broken. Okay, back to what we were talking about. Sorry, no. Another topic I wanted to talk about. So I've dug further, and Patrick, this is where he's going to just go like, oh no. I've dug more into Sneakerella and the storyline behind it. I told Scarlett about this, okay?
Yes, and her reaction, as we were all expecting.
Her reaction was going like, why in the even fuck are you telling me about this?
I think we actually put that down on the Scarlet Bingo card. So,
yeah, I think, yeah. And she's going like, is it a bunch of white people or did they use a bunch of black people again? I went like,
use is the key word because they did.
And I went like, so you see, what happened was.
Oh, Dwayne.
She went like, how many of us?
Oh my.
She went like, how many of you knew about this before calling me?
That's silly.
And she went like,
we shall continue.
Because she went like, how many of y'all did you know? How many of y'all knew before calling me? I went like, you see, what had happened was TLO told us about it. I played the review about it. Patrick's over there wanting to shoot himself from what I saw from your facial reactions. So I went back and watched the video.
No,
I
it's
still don't know why I joined. I don't even know why I joined that day.
well, I'm so like I'm in awe of the fact that like people are kind of waking up, or like it was such a blatant fucking thing that like everybody is like talking about it and not in a positive way. Like I do believe the Disney stocks actually like dropped after the dropping of Sneakerella's trailer. Like they literally dropped that day.
Good, they
So
need to.
stands to reason that the majority of the folks out here in the general public don't want to see stupid shit like that.
I mean, God, if Patrick wanted to go see stupid shit like that, he can go visit his dad for a week.
Or go to the local speedway, I'm sure.
Oh, would you look at the time?
Oh.
I love you too, sis.
Well, not to necessarily disagree with our audience or whatnot, but San, I fail to see if
I failed to
the
see
devil would really be, yeah.
I failed to
think
see
I'm sorry, but I find, even though I'm not necessarily of that faith, but I would assume that the devil would be more scrupulous than to actually be behind Disney. Because to be honest, they're pulling shit that would embarrass even him. Not to blatantly disagree with our audience members and whatnot. But yeah, no, greed is what's behind the idiot child decisions that are being made at the fucking House of Mouse. Like I used to like Disney, but to be honest with what they've offered of late, they could seriously go and F themselves. Like I enjoyed being someone that has given patronage to Orlando on numerous occasions. I don't see myself, to be honest, going back there ever again. Just to be factual, because the shit that they've been pulling in the last like decade, it just flies in the face of like everything that Disney used to stand for. Was actually more progressive and left-leaning in ideas than people gave credit to, especially in the 80s and 90s.
Exactly.
With a lot of their content, but their future as well. They had so much potential, but they just pissed it all away. Like they really have, going after all these fucking blue check marks. To be honest, money shots to the face because they like the tape. But I digress. No, Disney is so superfluously fucked right now. It's not even funny. Like that's partly the reason why they're jacking up the prices at the parks so insanely much, is because they are hemorrhaging money in the entertainment department. I mean, hemorrhaging. I think I just read somewhere that said that one of the recent Disney movies lost them like $73 million. And I'm not sure which one it was, but yeah, secretly lost $73 million. But you see, the way that they can fudge the numbers always is because of that stupid bylaw or the little subtext with the marketing, because they can always inflate or underinflate the marketing.
Right.
They have connections everywhere. So there's some things that they definitely do not have to pay for. Thus, they do not have to have records of. So if they say they spent such and such on a movie, they may or may not have actually done so. Chances are the latter. But there is one movie that one of the Marvel movies that did lose a shit ton of money that they're protecting because of, I believe, partially the streaming aspects, because they protect their streaming numbers so heavily. But the marketing for it as well.
Which one?
I'm trying to remember, but it's one of the last 3 or 4. Like, I think it was either like Black Widow. It's to be honest, it's definitely going to be the Eternals, or one of them is going to be Eternals.
Eternals.
That movie stinks. Like, I can smell shit from a mile away. Like, it just stinks. Like, it's bloated, it's stuck on itself, it's pretentious, it's gross. Stop it. Like, you're borderlining into the fucking semi parody driven Power Rangers, as we had also expounded to the other night with the Zach and Billy, the nerd who turns to be gay Power Ranger.
Yeah.
You know,
I miss
or
Billy.
the Yellow Ranger.
I miss Billy.
I mean, that's basically the level to which Disney is playing at these days, and definitely with the Eternals, with all their spiffy little uniforms or costumes.
It's a it's a fucking retarded ass spinoff of Power Rangers.
To be honest, it somewhat is like the inbred child of like the Power Rangers and Marvel comic book.
I'm gonna be honest, and this is gonna be really fucked up. It's like 2 Down syndrome people got together, had sex, and created like 5 individuals.
Ouch. That would almost genetically hurt. Like, shit's going in and it would hurt and it wouldn't stop.
Like, there's no other way to
Oh yeah, Stan. Like, I still to this day, and I pride myself on it, have never seen the atrocity known as Captain Marvel.
Oh my god.
Nor will I ever.
Captain Marvel was stupid.
Like, if someone could keep their mouth shut and stop saying some crazy, stupid shit, should maybe defo be worth couple of dates or something. Some time invested, maybe some company. Because I'm sure she's not as dim-witted or as narrow-minded as she pretends to be, but yeah, she's not as great of an actress as she thinks she is as well. That is usually the earmarker of someone who has won an Oscar before they're 25, 30 years old. It usually goes to their head, and in the long run, it affects their actual like outcomes in life, and that's why you see a lot of child stars from the 80s and 90s all cracked out now. Some of them mostly dead. It did things to them. So, but yeah, no, there are movies out there that I won't ever see, and I give pretty much everything a chance. But yeah, there's just some that you have to have boundaries, right? That's
Right.
part of the culture, part of the new world order. You've got to be proud and set your boundaries. So my
Yeah.
boundaries is I
Right.
don't take shitty movies.
Shitty movies. You know what? This is why I don't watch a lot of the new movies. I stick to like the shit that I grew up with.
Yep.
I stick to the
I
shit
just
that I
counted,
grew up
and my
with.
collection is now sitting at close to 1,000 DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4Ks. And that, my friends, are just feature lengths, not including series.
Yeah, like I said, man, I pretty much stay and watch my own shit. Like I don't watch a lot of the
And
shit
as
that.
I previously mentioned in this broadcast, I just did a recent count of 80s movies, and I approximately have about 60 of them, 50 to 60.
Right, and even like on Netflix, there is so many old movies. Like now, I'll watch new Ryan Reynolds. Oh wow, I'll watch new Ryan Reynolds movies.
Some of them, yeah, not all of them, because
Like
he's a very talented actor, but we can't just get stuck on him. And there's always going to be some characters or some things that certain actors aren't going to be able to portray.
like the one dude I won't watch anymore is Christian Bale. Him being in like 6 Batmans was enough.
I thought he was only in 4.
4, 6, same thing. It's still too many. Um, another dude.
That's why I've always proposed one is enough.
That's why.
Michael Keaton.
That's why I won't watch any fucking what is the dickhead that played fucking Edward in fucking Twilight?
Oh, Robert Pattinson.
He ever becomes Batman, I'm definitely not watching it.
No, that is one of the movies that I'm not necessarily ever going to particularly see in my lifetime or any. Um yeah, and it's it's top to bottom, to be honest. It's not even just Robert Pattinson. The director is highly overrated and dubious. Zoe Kravitz, though talented, is very limited in her range. And her as fucking Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman, no. There's plenty of other minorities or, you know, people of color that you can choose from if you wanted to go that route. Because to be honest, one of the original Catwomans was Eartha Kitt, who was a sister. So,
What?
it's not like it's not like it's out of the realm of reason. But no, it's just the whole thing is just it seems just like a play, and I'm not even sure what the play is, but that's the issue with DC. That's why it's always faltered next to Marvel and the product that they've been able to produce.
You're not
Um,
wrong, man.
is they never really think things through. They have all this talent and they get them lined up and they can gather the storms, but they can never actually produce or win at the sort of setups, the end games that they try and put forth. I mean, it's always been a hodgepodge of the DC comic universe because like literally they have them all over the place and they always go for like all these different things. None of them really have made an attempt to draw into others, which has always been kind of their downfall. Is like, well, you should have been thinking about integrating movies and characters like, Batman and Superman and all this and that. Like, you have all these characters and you don't use them. Like, they keep using the same, like, three or four, and that's why, like, they had somewhat of a limited success with, like, the Suicide Squad. Excuse me, with parallels to what you saw with Guardians of the Galaxy with the Marvel Universe. Most people didn't know who the Guardians of the Galaxy were. And that's actually what made them somewhat successful, is because people were like, oh, okay, it's not an Iron Man, it's not a fucking Captain America, it's not a Thor or Black Widow. It's these other guys that we don't know. And as they were portrayed fairly well and competently by the actors in the script that they were given, people enjoyed it, like, more so than were expected to be. And so the Suicide Squad has somewhat parallels to that effect for the DC universe. But you look at any of their movies for the DC universe, aka Warner Brothers, because they're pretty much the mainstay for any DC comic book movie. They've been all over the fucking shop, as they say across the pond. Like, all over the fucking shop. Like, it's absolutely asinine. Like, just with, like, has anybody? No, they probably haven't, because most people align themselves with the Marvel camp because everybody's into being tribal and hating on each other for having different opinions or different preferences. So I'm not sure if anybody saw the Shazam.
Yes.
But that was a very well done DC movie. And not only that, like, they had a perfect setup to actually, like, introduce the other, like, DC characters. They had the setup for the fact that it operates in the same universe, and almost, like, right after what events happened in that atrocious Justice League. But yeah, no, they had references to Aquaman, and then in I'm not sure if it was the theater cut, but I know that the extended cut had just a little flash of Superman making an appearance right at the end. So, like, they had the potential to set everything up, and then they fuck it up, because right after that they decide they want to dump Henry Cavill to make it a black Superman. They want to I don't even know what they're trying to do with Flash. Like, it almost feels like Flash is, like, they're trying to portray almost like the Spider-Man of the DC universe, like the underdog. Because, like, you have all this setup and this potential now that you have, as far as I'm concerned, the Batman and Michael Keaton coming back for an appearance. And there are rumors, slight rumors, and I don't want to get anyone's hope up, but I heard from 3 people, one of them is definitely credible, that there may or may not be an appearance by the one and only Keanu Reeves.
What?
Oh.
AKA John Constantine.
No.
I don't want to get people's hopes up, because if they were to do something like that, that might actually help them definitely not gain as much momentum or become anything close to Marvel, but might actually get them in the right direction towards having a more cohesive extended universe.
Bro, that would actually be fucking amazing.
Right? And to be honest, he actually fits the bill more so as not the clean cut Keanu Reeves as he was in Constantine originally, but because the majority of Hellblazer, especially towards the end of the actual comic book series, he kind of had like the John Wick look, the little sort of semi bearded look. Obviously he was blonde in the comic book, but you know, given that Keanu Reeves was a pretty decent fit, although the more recent one that they had on the television, oh, and that's another thing. Like their television shows are totally in a different fucking universe than anything that they produce in the movies, and that's a huge oversight. Because I mean, you see the masterful job that Marvel has done with such properties as Daredevil, such properties of Agents of Shield, and Agent Peggy Carter. I mean, they fucking had it on lockdown. Like
Yes, they did.
seriously. Like they're like, okay, yeah, we got this set up. Let's give the payoff. Let's actually go through with this. You know, instead of like having a movie where they set up all these characters and they literally maybe in the next one mention them or something, but they only develop like one, even though they set up all this different potential. And it's sad.
Man, that I would fucking, oh my god, I'm ready. You just fucking blew my head. Like
Now
my
it's only slight rumors because somebody said somebody was talking to somebody and they were overhearing a conversation on a cell phone to somebody who is very well positioned in the Warner Brothers executive branch. So, but you know they have, that's, to be honest, that's what these three new offerings for DC in the next year or so are going to curtail, i.e., Flash, the Batman, or Shazam: Fury of the Gods.
oh my god.
Or wait, I'm trying. Well, I'm trying to remember. Is it Shazam: The Fury of the Gods that come out, or is it Black Adam that comes out before then?
I think it's Black
They're
Adam.
actually like very close because of the pandemic and how they've had to reschedule things. They're now almost right on top of each other. So that may or may not
That
work
sounds about
well
right.
for the DC universe's extended universe in the theaters, being openings right butted up next to each other. But you never know. It might be their ticket. Definitely if they can put shit together. And definitely if it isn't too much of Dwayne Johnson in Black Adam. I mean, I know he is Black Adam, but as long as it's not just, oh, I'm Dwayne Johnson playing Black Adam, it'll be all right.
If Dwayne Johnson can actually perform the role of Black Adam and do it right,
Yeah, exactly. Like not be, hey, I'm Dwayne the fucking Rock Johnson playing this character. No, actually trying to like be the character and, you know, act. Because you know I love him to death, and I think he's a really good actor. He's definitely not a great actor. No. I wouldn't consider him great. He's definitely a very good actor, but yeah, he hasn't hit that power up status yet, quite yet.
hell no, he hasn't.
I mean, he's
The
definitely
last
got good,
motherfucking movie I ever watched,
performances for sure, but anything that's really like, I wouldn't say like earth shattering or anything, but like something that a lot of people have talked about or buzzed about. He hasn't really had that yet.
you know what? And I'm gonna say this because this is how I feel. The last motherfucking movie I saw him playing that he actually did good in was Standing Tall.
Oh, come on, Dwayne. You had to have seen San Andreas, and that he was a little bit better in than Standing Tall.
I mean, yes, I'm San Andreas. Okay, look, here's my thing. San Andreas, he was a fucking beast in. But other than that, I'm saying like an older style movie TLO. Like an older style TLO that I've seen him do better in was fucking.
Well, yeah, no, that is definitely older style because that was still a WWE Productions, and you do realize he is no longer employed there, and it's very doubtful that he would go back. Very doubtful now, because if anyone has paid attention to what's going on with the WWE, it's falling apart. I don't know what the hell's going on there. Like, I know I haven't been up to par on the WWE, but I think I just read somewhere where like they've gone through cutting 80 superstars
Yes.
from their roster, like just within the last year. And it's like, what? It's like, I know about maybe a little bit of spring cleaning, but 80 fucking, yeah, that's a pretty decent chunk of your rosters, man, of your little stables. Because I read one article that said they got rid of like one whole complete little entourage or group of like 5 wrestlers. They got rid of 2 wrestlers that are a couple. So now a married couple who work together at the same company have now lost their jobs both at the same time, both right before the holidays.
Well,
Now, isn't that a nice how do you do?
Well, because here's my thing: AEW has bought him out.
Well, no, they haven't. AEW has grown definitely big time or whatever, but they still haven't gotten to the WWE level yet. WWE level is like close to billions. You know, AEW is hundreds of millions for sure, but they haven't gotten to billions yet.
They're getting there.
Yeah, no, they've got some ways to go. Like, they definitely have good talent, but I don't know if they necessarily have the wits, the business wits, to actually make it come to fruition.
Yeah, good point.
You know, because yeah, they got great talent, but I don't know if they have the back office or the front office management to really support their adventurous games.
Well, here's the thing, dude. They're losing a lot of WWE stars.
Well, they're gaining a lot of the WWE stars because the WWE is hemorrhaging a lot of stars. Granted, the WWE can because the WWE has the majority of the stars in the world because it is the biggest company.
You know, and like I quit watching WWE. I don't watch it anymore.
I honestly haven't watched TV in, it is now approaching 7 years. Like, literally, I have not had cable access. I have not had even, the freaking whatever hookup if you want to try and get the digital signal with the antenna or whatever. I don't even do that. So I have not seen like regular television for like the last half decade. So I haven't watched any television shows, anything like that, because I don't stream either. I get that shit on hard copy. So if I want to watch a series, I'll fucking just buy it. It's like, oh boy, it's between 20 and 40 bucks. Big fucking deal. Then I own that shit. So if it's good, then it's in my collection. If it's not good, then I'll fucking sell it on eBay and make at least half of what I paid for it back. And still would be no biggie.
Damn.
I like Scorpion King, but to be honest, if you want to actually look at it as far as like acting abilities, he was very wooden in that. You know, you could tell that was like one of his first feature films.
Oh, Scorpion.
Because he seemed very uncomfortable and not in his skin. Because he hadn't gained his acting chops per se at that point. But no, I enjoyed the Scorpion King, Pam. I did. I actually, people need to realize he's actually been in a bunch of dramas and shit. but most people don't realize it because they don't, the media doesn't ever help because they always go after the big tentpole major production things. But he's been in some good dramas. Enemy of the State. That's
That
a
was a
good
really good
one.
one.
And that's him with I do believe Liam Hemsworth. One of my personal favorites is Faster. No, I thought that one was actually one of his more powerful performances.
Yeah, you know what? I actually kind of looking at it now. I kind of agree.
Because I mean that's once again it's something that people forget about acting. Is like you're acting to portray these different characters and do it effectively, so you're not looking at it as if you're looking at Dwayne The Rock Johnson playing this person. You're looking at this person just as the character because the actor is portraying it so well that you forget that it's an actor acting it, that you're just sitting there watching the character. That's how you get good performance. That's how you're used to get Oscars, was you had a movie where you sit there and even though you had plans of like maybe changing the laundry or whatever, you come to find that you sat and watched the whole entire movie and forgot about the laundry because you got lost in it because you're like, oh hey, I'll watch this. And then you actually started getting super invested in the characters and the storyline and what was going on, and you forgot about the rest of the world. You forgot about the small things and whatnot. And so that's how you can define like real, like true acting. Is like when I watch a movie and I don't see Robert Downey Jr. or I don't see fucking what's her face. Now I call her permanent bitch face. Oh yeah, Angelina Jolie.
Oh, fuck her.
Yeah, no, fuck her for real. Because like she is so an overrated actress.
Dude, I don't
She
remember
is,
what
she
fucking
is,
one
she
movie.
is C plus at best.
I don't even
At
remember what movie it was.
best.
I fucking saw her play
She
in.
had like one really good movie. And what was that?
Are you talking
That
about the one
one
where
where
she
she was
played
all strung out and there was
No,
like lesbian scenes and shit. I forgot what that was, but
that's not the one that me and you were talking about then. The one that I'm talking about is the one where she played that fucking FBI agent.
oh, Salt.
No, not that one. The other one where she was in the undercover beauty pageant.
That's Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, fuck her.
No, I like Sandra Bullock. She's a good actress. She's got a decent range. She can do dramatic and she can do comedy and she definitely can do romantic comedy. Um, she's definitely not built for action. So when you see her in movies, like even when you have like a somewhat spoof or parody thing, where what was that dumpster fire that she was in with what was it, Melissa McCarthy? Wasn't it like they were both cops?
Oh yeah.
Like it totally bombed too. Like I don't even think it did 10 million at the fucking box office.
No, I think it only did. I think it only fucking did like 6.
Yeah, I seriously would not doubt that because it looked just bad. I mean, it looked really bad. It looked like a low point in Melissa McCarthy's life because I think she also is a very talented actress and woman.
Why
But
did
she
we have to
probably
bring
sells herself short just to portray or maintain this persona that she had developed her career with.
But why did you have to bring that stupid bitch up?
I wouldn't go as far as say that's stupid, or definitely not bitch. I don't think she ascends to that level.
She's getting there.
I think she's very idiotic with a lot of the stuff she says outside of what her profession really should mandate. But as far as like her roles and whatnot, they're pretty atypical with a heavy set woman, deprecation, comedy,
I mean,
a
I
lot
don't
of
know.
introspectful dramas if she goes that route for her roles. I know she's done a couple dramas, but it's mostly been comedy. And to be honest, she like most comedians have hits and misses. It's now been mostly misses in the last, I would say, 3 or 4 years.
I'd say 4 to
Um,
5 years.
no, 3 to 4, because The Boss was actually pretty good, and that I do believe was 2018. So that would be 4 years ago.
Yeah, good point.
Oh, referring to a new Dwayne Johnson movie, Pam, the Red Notice thing. Yeah,
I
once
might
again,
actually watch it.
I'm sure it's a fine movie. I'm sure it's good and it's entertaining. Is it as spectacular as the media and like Rotten Tomatoes and, to be honest, a lot of those in the Hollywood media have said or have called it? I definitely don't think it's that good. I'm sure it's good, but let's not let's not stroke out from having multiple orgasm or something. I don't know. It seems like people are getting a little too fervent for that movie. I mean, yes, you've got three potentially really good actors together in a movie, but it's not like it hasn't happened before, and it's not like it won't happen again. And if you look at it, technically two of them are going to end up in a movie possibly anyways. That's if they get done with all the silly, stupid politics affecting Hollywood to its core.
But here's my thing, Antilo, and I've heard you bring it up so many times, and I know when I kept trying to talk on it earlier, I was having issues with my mic. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think
no, you've gone in and out a couple of times for decent periods of time. So,
I
and I
don't think
figured you were just dealing with it.
I don't think Hollywood is ever going to become what it used to be.
Well, no, it's definitely been twisted into something, and yeah, I don't know if you can get those kind of kinks out,
I mean, you'll
literally,
never be able.
literally and figuratively.
I mean, here's my thing: you'll never be able to get it back out.
Because yeah, just like I said, it's all about like all these things that are just being represented, represented. Um, where it should be about the story, the content, the visuals, the beautiful costumes. It shouldn't be about
It should,
fucking
dude,
main
because
characters and black or lesbian or queer or whatever. Like seriously, that shit is seriously making me like actually physically ill. Because it's just like you guys are just like a broken fucking record. Like, oh,
Hollywood.
this movie is great just because of this, and it's not even about like what kind of story it is, whatever the message of the story is, whatever the metaphors or anything like that, symbologies, anything. Like, it's just about whether or not they've got a fucking black actress or a Latina actress or a girl actress or not a redhead actress.
You're not wrong. I don't know, man. I just That's why I like. This is why I watch Netflix and stuff.
Yeah, this is why I don't do too much of the streaming, if at all, and I just watch my physical copies because I have a good collection. I think I might go for maybe 2,000. We'll see.
Dude, I'm just done with Hollywood at this point.
Well, yeah, no, my mom was like seriously impressed and somewhat shocked. She was like, "Didn't the new Ghostbusters come out?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Didn't wasn't that like one of the only movies you were like really jazzed about seeing?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not jazzed about it anymore."
I thought you just were the
Because
other
I'm just like I was, but like just all of Hollywood in general has just turned me off because they've just been so stuck on stupid. It is just unfathomable.
Oh, go watch the new Ghostbusters movie.
I probably will. As I said, I've got 3-day work weeks for the next month, because they're trying to retain me because they know how serious this great resignation is getting. That like it's everywhere and it's
Oh,
bad.
you put your resignation in?
No, but I said that if I can't use my PTO and if they wouldn't allow me to carry it over, I would leave because it is 10 days and that would be, you know, equivalent to almost $1,000 right there.
I was about to say, yeah, I know
At
you make
least.
bank.
Huh?
I was going to say, I know because you make good money.
No, I make decent money. I don't make $20, but close to.
Hey, I don't make it anymore either, trust me.
But so yeah, no, like losing out on that sort of chunk of money, and especially since the economy is going pretty much tits up with the inflation skyrocketing, and as Dwayne and I were espousing before we went on air, I love how nobody in the media wants to report the fact that it's gone up like damn near 5% in like a month span.
Now we bring it up.
Well, I thought I'd get to it.
So, guys, check this out. Because now, since TLO has brought it up, now, and I knew TLO had a lot of stuff that he's wanted to say, so I've just kind of like sat back and stayed quiet for a minute. 'Cause we haven't done an original night talk in a hot second.
No, I haven't. And since I've been quiet for so long and observing, I'm almost to my threshold, as is determined by my title. Because the idiocy is just getting so fucking rampant. I feel like Agent Smith. I really do. That's what it is. I feel like Agent Smith. I feel like I'm stuck in the Matrix trying to navigate it and keep it from falling to pieces, but just people are just becoming so fucking stupid. It's permeating and it's starting to infect me.
Oh, God. We can't have that happen.
No, because that'll make me very, very angry. And yeah, if I flip to the dark side, it's gonna be like game over, man. Game over.
TLO, if you flip to the dark side, I'm going to be scared. TLO, I've known you for the past 2 years. No.
No, and that's the thing is like right now, people who are, let's just say, less mentally attuned have been losing their shit.
Well,
And you've seen it like day in day out in the news, in the media, in fucking Twitter. No matter where you go, you'll find it. Kids killing their parents for taking their Xboxes away. What was another one? Didn't someone like literally kill their like mom? And we're talking about adults, like daughter killed their adult mother and chopped her up and like stuffed her in like a dumpster or something. Like it literally was within the last week or so.
I think so. I don't remember
Damn.
though.
But yeah, no, it's getting to the point where like people are literally just turning around and chopping each other up. Like that's how serious it's getting.
That was
Like,
actually like a couple weeks. Like it was actually 3 weeks ago.
yeah, but yeah, it was fairly recent.
No, that was still when I was at Cedar Point. Wait a minute.
Are you sure? Because there's trust me, you have to be specific because there's been a few. There really have. It's not just one. Like I literally, if you wanted to search that, you're probably going to find at least half a dozen that have happened in the last 6 months. Because I guarantee you, one every month for sure.
There was 2 that was brought up when I was in Cedar Point. The husband, I think it was the husband.
Oh yeah, no, there's been quite a few of that because the domestic abuse rate has skyrocketed, a la the fucking pandemic and lockdowns. That has skewed a lot of people's lives, a lot of people's mentalities, a lot of people's spirits. Um, you could make a point, as I am of a Taoist belief, but with some background with Christianity, more specifically Catholicism, mother's family. But you could make a case that people are allowing themselves to be more susceptible, as was referred to earlier in our online chat room, and which we had mentioned before, that you're allowing evil to take over, and you could make a case, if you believe in such, that it'd be the devil or whatever evil nemesis or entity you believe in or put faith in or don't put faith in. But there are those. There's another thing is I have noticed how all of a sudden Satanism, if that's your thing, has become like a thing. And not like ew gross, look at those Satanists, or oh, they're evil people. It's like they're like trying to like fight for like CEO jobs and like having like Pentagon demon headstones, and like it's just weird. It's like they're going about it as if like they're like, I don't know, not as downtrodden or not as really liked religions, because obviously there's a major case for people to not be very fond of the Muslim faith or Islam, the faith of Islam. Um, so like there's definitely cases for everything, because fair point or fair dues. There were the Crusades who did kill a bunch of people. So it's not like
That was a while ago.
well, yeah, but I'm just saying that every decently major religion has kind of done something pretty fucked up in their history. There's not really any exclusions. So what I'm saying is like, yeah, I definitely not down with the big D or whatever. But if somebody moves in next door and they say that they worship Satan, I'm like, all right, well, I guess he'll have a good Halloween or whatnot.
Right.
That'd be pretty much about it. I'll know what to get. I'll know what to get them for the holidays. Some sort of pentagram or some shit like that. Some candles. I don't know. And that's how I go about it. Like, and that's how I feel people should be. It's like, yeah, you're doing your own thing. I might think it's weird. I might not like it or whatever. Whatever the case may be. But you do you, and I'll do me. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, you're evil or you're bad or we need to get rid of you or we need to sequester you or put you in lockdown or put you in camps or get you up against the wall. Nah, I once again, I got no time for all that bullshit and hate and worrying about all that.
Right.
Look at him like, all right. And I'll go and fucking do things more dangerous to my life, which is change my cat's litter box.
Right. But I don't know, man. Shit's gonna be crazy, and you just have to be honestly ready for it at this point.
Well, yeah, no, and just like you know what we talked about a little bit earlier with the Rittenhouse thing. You had all these people saying all these big bad tough words and shit. Oh yeah, cities are gonna burn if he's acquitted and this and that. I don't really see cities burning. There's definitely some scuffles here and there, but yeah.
I
It
haven't
ain't it ain't like Minneapolis last year where I literally could walk down the street and roast my marshmallows on a burning fucking gas station.
seen
So
you want to know what the funny thing is, Hilo? You ain't wrong about that.
mm. There's Patrick. I was wondering if he's having technical difficulties.
Yeah, I forgot to say something. His phone dropped out. He's having issues.
Well, as I said before, the what's happening with the planet and the atmosphere getting hit by all that solar radiation.
But I think I'm also done because my computer's been lagging in and out until I've been barely able to hear you.
Yeah, no, I know whenever you've spoken, it's like you start saying something, then all of a sudden, right when you're about to make the point, it decides to cut out. I'm like, oh, come the fuck on.
But we're also gonna do one tomorrow night, by the way.
Yeah,
So
tomorrow night should work. There might be
or tomorrow afternoon.
things that I'll have to iron out, but
Right.
yeah, once again, stories for other times.
But TLO, do you have any last words, my friend?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Quite simply, just stop it. Like, I even had to tell my mother to stop playing these fucking reindeer games, playing these blame games, playing the woe is me. I'm a constant victim. The fucking system's out to get me. This and that, which I always find ironic because my mother is white. But we need to all stop going after each other for not going after each other, to be honest. Because the people who get most mad at other people are usually the blue check marks, the virtue signals, the people that prop themselves up and say that they're on the right side of history and ad nauseum. For most part, don't actually have a fucking clue as to what they actually are um, talking about, let alone actually have any real life experience, real world experience with such matters. They've only experienced it through hearsay.
Right.
So stop experiencing your life or trying to experience your lives um, through what I like to call the internet filters. Because that's what you're doing. You're trying to apply what the filters do with the internet to your lives, and it's the real world doesn't work like that. So, you know, as I got in an argument with my mom, she was like, "People see colors." I was like, "Yeah." The problem is people are so wrapped up in the hate that they make it only about the colors. Like, why don't you look at a person and say, oh, that's a darker skinned person? Okay. And then you just continue conversation or whatever you're doing in your day. Why do we have to look at each other and assume or judge or whatever? That's our own insecurities. That's our own faults at play. That's not anybody else's. That's not people's racism. That's not people's, bigotry or misogyny or any of that. It's our own personal judgments, basically reflecting on ourselves. And so stop it. Like, I go down the street and I look at people as people. Yeah, there's brown people. Yeah, there's yellow people. Yeah, there's people of all sorts. There's people that have danglies. There's some people that have innies. There's some people that have both.
Exactly.
Like, there's no reason to sit there and just get so wrapped up in all of that. Just go about your lives. Like, seriously. Like, I don't get how people can't just do something so simple, because it's not that difficult. You just go about your lives and you drop the attitude towards people. Like, just drop it. You don't assume, you don't judge. Like, you guard yourself by just being aware of your surroundings. Read the fucking room, as Ryan Reynolds says in that movie, the Red Notice.
Can we ever read the fucking room?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, people have tried to apply this filter from the internet to their lives, and so I don't know if they are quite capable to read the fucking room anymore. So that's why I'm saying, read the fucking room. Stop being weird at each other like that. It is getting old. Like, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's the white man that hates the darkie. I don't care if it's the darkie that thinks the white man's the devil. Both of y'all knock the fucking shit off. Like, seriously. Y'all are sounding like a bunch of little fucking whiny kids.
Amen to that.
Like, all of it. It's getting annoying. Like a bunch of bickering little fucking kids in the back of your car on a fucking family trip. Like, sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up, or not only am I going to punish you, you are not even going to believe the shit I'm going to do. Like, no, I'm not going to take us home back to your devices. I'm going to take your devices. I'm going to park the car at the nearest fucking rest stop, and we're just going to sit there for a good, 5 or 6 hours.
And I'm gonna beat your ass.
No, we're just going to sit there. Like, you're not going to have a device. You're not going to have, no, nothing. We're just going to sit. Like, that will be your fucking punishment, because I don't mind stillness. I don't mind not being connected, not seeing, not, having people try and sell me fucking car insurance when I don't even have a car, trying to sell me stupid flow or whatever dumb thing that's silly AT&T brat is going on about of late. I don't have time for it. Like, I don't need it. I don't want it. So I can survive just sitting and listening to nature, watching traffic, watching people, doing whatever. Maybe I'll even pick up a book or something. But like, what I won't do is let the internet dictate my life, or let it tell me how I should feel and who I should feel it to. So do the same, be better people. That's all I've got.
And for me, guys, as long as this doesn't break out of me again, get the fuck off your phones and outside.
Dwayne's last thoughts or closing statements.
Can you hear me?
I can now.
Oh, I hate this fucking thing. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm actually holding this by my camera mic, which is probably what I should have been doing this whole time with my camera off.
Well, you definitely sound close.
For everybody out there who is stuck on their device, who is sitting on their couch, not spending time with their family, thinking their phone's more important, or on Thanksgiving Day, think it's a great time to sit on your phone and play all day. Get the fuck off and act like a normal human being. This ain't to the older generation. This is to the younger kids. This is to people like me. Go outside and learn what the fuck it is to drink from a water hose. Because that's the shit that we had to do as a kid. And stop treating others because of skin color or because they have a gun on their hip. And look at the person inside. Because I'm tired of it. And that's all I have for that one. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here in the Night Talk. I love each and every one of you. And from the seas to the sky in this world that is all fucked up and bent back to hell. Good night, y'all. TLO.
No matter where you go, there you are.
Good night, universe.